West Ham versus Chelsea, London derby, a game I'm really looking forward to. I've got to be honest. I've been looking forward to it since the Newcastle game. I actually feel like most West Ham fans are. This is the one time you go into these games and against a big side like Chelsea, a big club, and think, you know what, I really fancy us. I really do. I think if we can play the way we know we can, especially if we play the levels like we did against Newcastle, you start thinking, well, I think we could do very well here. Let's talk before we go into the Chelsea situation and who we're going to be, up against effectively in the situation there. Just want to think about West Ham really and the mood around the club. It does feel like the clouds are starting to lift. There's a real confidence around West Ham at the moment, and rightly so. You look at the calendar year, you look at how things have changed. West Ham have played 6 games so far in 2023. We've lost one game, and that was a 1-0 loss to Wolves away from home, which it wasn't the best performance, I agree, but that's the only defeat. Other games we've been playing pretty well. You've got to look at the Derby game, very, very well played. We obviously beat Everton, and then we backed it up with a very, very good performance against Newcastle, a game that I don't think many would have expected us to get anything from. I'm not necessarily talking about West Ham fans, I'm just talking about the wider football community. Would not have looked at that game thinking West Ham had much of a chance, considering the league positions. Don't forget Newcastle were third going into that game and just got to a cup final. So for West Ham to come back from 1-0 down, a disastrous opening minute to play the way we did, it just really has started to inject some belief into the club. And I don't know about you, but I've been looking at the players as well, and the language is coming out, and even looking at the clips and the players in training and things. There's just a feeling of confidence now, that feeling that we're starting to enjoy our football again, which has been... It's been so absent, isn't it, for such a long time? And so it's so nice now to get that feeling that we are now starting to push on. And hopefully, I hate using the phrase, I feel like I use it all the time, but turn that corner. It does feel like that's starting to happen. And what an opportunity. Chelsea at home. I mean, let's not write this down. You can't go into this game, I don't think, and be like, well, we should be able to win this. Chelsea are still a very good side. Let's not take that away from them. I appreciate they're mid-table at the moment. They are a club in transition. But let's not forget they have got players in that team that are more than capable of changing the game quickly. So it's going to be an interesting match. I am going into it with a bit of confidence. I do feel that the way we've got a bit of a spring in our step now, this is probably the perfect game for us, really. A London derby at home. And you get the feeling that if West Ham can gain the 3 points in this match, it will really send out a good message, a positive message to the rest of the Football League, that West Ham really are starting to get back on track. Because despite where Chelsea are in the league, it's still a big result, a big, big team to beat. So let's make no mistake about that. A victory over Chelsea would be massive for West Ham. And there's no reason why we can't get it. No reason at all. Looking at Chelsea then, they're an interesting side this season. So they've got Graham Potter obviously coming in from Brighton. It's a different setup. He's walked into a very different job here than what he had at Brighton. At Brighton, you felt that he was in control. He was in control of the recruitment, really control the whole club. I think that's what they were attracted to. When they appointed Potter, that's what they stated in saying that we need someone to come in and do what he's done at Brighton. The problem he's finding at Chelsea is that sort of stature of a football club and the amount of money that's been pumped into it and the pressures that comes with that is that they're not just going to leave it to one man, really, just to go, you go on, you crack on. I think he's got so many different people pulling strings all over around him that he's probably finding that very difficult to deal with. Do you really honestly believe that they were Potter's signings in January? I don't think so. I think they were probably Chelsea signings. I think he's just been handed superstars and saying, go on, there you go and win the league kind of thing. It's a very different setup for him. So, but that's he knew that going into it. To be honest, I don't feel sorry for the man. That's it is what it is. He wanted to take that opportunity, but you do get the feeling that he's probably thinking, "Blimey, this is a tough task." He seems to operate similar to how he did with Brighton. He operates a back five. He switches between 4 and 5. A sort of back 3, back 4 operation with the wing backs operation. Similar to how West Ham actually is playing now. You feel like he will set probably 3 up at the back with wing backs. The situation, though, that with Chelsea is what they do is for their wing backs, rather than with West Ham, where we've got Emerson and Soufal, i.e. defenders that can operate in that position, they actually play attackers. They tend to play players like Sterling and Pulisic, players like that. So that's where West Ham can really get at them, because effectively they haven't really got the defensive cover there. They've got really attacking players. They are dangerous on the attack, Chelsea, although goal scoring is their issue. because for whatever reason, despite spending £600 million in January, they still haven't got a striker. I mean, they're playing with Kai Havertz up front. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of Kai Havertz, very, very good player. But he's not a striker, in my opinion. He's just not an out-and-out striker. So that's where they're struggling. And you can see it in their team. They're just really struggling to get the goals. And that's what's been the issue, because they're actually defensively, they're not too bad. They're actually not too bad at all. But because they're not scoring, it's meaning that all you really need is one goal, and you could probably beat Chelsea. That could be enough. So that's what David Moyes needs to be aware, being the mindset of, is that if we can just get that one goal, if you get an early goal against Chelsea, that's pretty much them, could be them done, So that would be the message I would be sending if I was a West Ham manager, just saying, look, if we can get them early, get right at them, because if you can bully them, nick an early goal, that will really rattle Chelsea, because they all know in their hearts, bloody hell, they don't score many goals, so it's unlikely, they're going to be thinking, God, we've got to now score 2 to win this game, and that could be, quite damaging psychologically for them. They are an interesting side though, Chelsea. I mean, if you look at them, the majority of the defeats have been against the good performing sides. They haven't actually lost many games to teams that have been down the bottom. So this will be probably one of the first in terms of them going up against a team that are in a relegation battle. I hate to use that phrase, but let's be honest, that's where we are at this stage. So, but we need to go into it with confidence. I genuinely believe West Ham can go at Chelsea and really, really cause them problems. They're under big pressure at Chelsea. You get the feeling that these new arrivals haven't helped the situation. They might help the situation in terms of having a lot of players to choose from and having quality, but we know that we know that from our summer. Just buying loads of players doesn't mean, wow, you're going to suddenly just go on this massive winning run. If anything, it actually sets you back, because you've now got to then, one, Potter's got to try and work out his best team. He's now got superstars all around him, but he's got to keep happy. They're not going to be happy saying, well, you're going to go to West Ham, you're probably not going to get on. They're going to go, hang on a minute. No. So you get the feeling that he's going to have to keep introducing substitutions. And, well, we already know that they've already released their Champions League squad list, which is considerably smaller. And he's had to leave out some new signings. New players have had to be left out of it. And you kind of think, that's an awkward conversation straight away, isn't it? You brought a world-class player in and paying them hundreds of thousands of pounds a week, and you're saying to them, well, actually, you're not going to play any Champions League football. I can't imagine that the morale at Chelsea is good at the moment. I really can't. We were talking to Martin Allen on the West Ham Way podcast this week in Mad Dog Bites on Patreon with X, and he was of that opinion that it just must be such a horrible atmosphere behind the scenes at Chelsea, and that's where I think it is at. I think that this is a good. If there's ever a better time to play Chelsea, it's now. This is a very, very good time, a time that West Ham really can inflict some damage on them. And let's be honest, what a boost it would be for West Ham. So on to West Ham then. I cannot see David Moyes changing the system whatsoever, and I do not blame him at all. I feel like we're finally getting a bit of a system that's working. I think having a Gerd as your left-sided centre-back is just working so well. I appreciate we've got some injury issues, which we'll come on to in a minute. But if he could set out the same as he did against Newcastle, I would have Johnson in where Zuma would be playing. Kira, I believe, is possibly, I think he might be available. However, I would still have Johnson in there, I think. But I like the system. Emerson's just coming to his own. Soufal looks the player that we signed originally. He just seems to be brimming with confidence again, which is great. And I actually think it's helping the likes of Bowen and Ben Rama. I really think it's making a big difference. And for those as well, having that, it's just working so well. I wouldn't change a thing. I really wouldn't. I know that a lot of fans have been saying about Scamacca. Will he be coming back into the side? But I don't believe that's the case. From what I understand, Scamacca's not going to be available for David Moyes, but we'll see. But as far as I understand it, I don't believe that is the case. So it looks like you're going to have Antonio as the main striker, which I've got no problem with. I think Antonio is actually playing really well at the moment, and I don't think that's going to be a problem for us whatsoever. But it's going to be the same system. I think you're going to have Paqueta and Rice in the midfield. I imagine Suchek could be on the bench. I'm really looking forward to this game. I really think that system works very well. I think we can really inflict some damage on Chelsea, and that's what we need to be doing. Looking at the scenario then as a whole, before we get into the predictions, you get the feeling that the pressure's starting to lift slightly. David Moyes will be well aware of it, that this is a prime time. This is a great opportunity, because this could really be one of them games that could get the fans back on side. A London derby, a rival. getting 3 points against Chelsea. I don't care where they are in the league. This is a big. That would be a big result for West Ham, and it really would. It would lift the mood, and also ahead of Spurs. You know, we're going to a game that means so much to us every season, and to them. I mean, let's be honest, they don't like playing West Ham. It's certainly a game that I'm sure, will be slightly anxious about, especially if we can get a result against Chelsea, because they know that we do tend to raise our game for them as they do for us. It's going to be one of them games. We want to go into that with the most confidence, and I just think that if we can get this result, if we can get that result over Graham Potter's side, then wow, what a statement that would be. But yeah, on to predictions then. By the way, out of interest, people will be asking, where's Riley? Like, we haven't seen him for a couple of weeks. He is coming back. I can assure you we are set to record very soon with Riley, and he'll be back on the channel full time, which would be very good because he's been away. So we're looking forward to having him back. So unfortunately, he's not here to do his predictions, but I would love to know your predictions. So do let me know. I'm going to go 3-1 West Ham. I've got a really good feeling about it. I've just got a feeling it's going to be one of them days that we get our season really up and running, because my word, wouldn't it mean that? It would send out that message. I'm sorry. It would. It would show that West Ham are back on track this season and can start pushing up that table, because I don't care where, as I keep repeating myself, I don't care where Chelsea are in the league. If West Ham can get 3 points, that's a big result. So let's see how we get on. Come on, you ones.